I work on Portuguese television as a journalist, as a TV reporter. I was a kind of, how do you call, cameraman on the news, and for me it was very important because I practice a lot filming, and I travel a lot inside Portugal and also in several countries, in many countries around the world, covering wars and things, and also things like that, earthquakes, and I had a lot of practice that, and I think it was important for me to be now in making other things, making cinema. When I do filmmaking, when I do cinema, I look to the journalism, and I try to do things that I didn't in journalism, because in journalism we have some rules, we have to be objective, and in filmmaking I'm more independent. It's my point of view. I am more freedom to tell the story. Of course, in journalism or in cinema, you both told stories. You tell stories, but I feel more freedom in cinema. So that's why it's a different phase of my professional life. I'm not interested in doing. I'm not worried about doing quick feature films or fiction films, and I want to tell stories, and I want to tell stories of the real world, and look at that real world, experience it, and put my point of view, my perspective, and show that perspective to the audience. I'm always observing people, and I try to use the cinema to know to know the stories, to know the people. For instance, I use cinema to know things that I know. I didn't know what was happening inside that kind of psychiatric hospital. That's the unknown, and I use the cinema to go inside and to know that unknown. Because in my childhood, my parents usually said to me, if you don't have a good behavior, I'm going to put you in the madness hospital, And in Portugal, most of the citizens don't have a good relationship with this kind of hospitals. They think that inside that psychiatric hospital just have crazy people, and no, but what we did is we tried to make a kind of update of the reality inside that psychiatry. But for me, the motivation was the curiosity to see what's happened inside that hospital. The most important for me is now how the people react of that update. The most important was that they saw that update that we did with the documentary. Because in fiction films you are used to see the image of the patients, just to see the image of the patient taking bad behaviors and screaming and things like that. What we tried to make was to put the voice of the patients, because I will be honest with you. When I entered the first time into the hospital, I was kind of afraid. I was fear of what could happen to me. I was afraid of the patients. But when I talk with them, when I dialogue with them for the first time, I lose that kind of fear. So the most important for me was also the dialogues, because these people are ordinary people like you and me, but with a little difference. They have a disease, and we are not having that kind of disease. That I learned that it's possible to communicate with these patients. I learned that it's possible to have friends inside this kind of hospital, and I learned that exists love inside that facilities, between the patients and also between the medical support and the therapists. Both of we can be there also. Because we don't know what will happen in the future. So it's important to respect, and I try to respect the patients, and for me it was also the most important thing that I think the reaction was a kind of was a surprise. I have a bad impression about this kind of patients. I feel that in Portugal, I feel that in other countries. In Q&A, for instance, yesterday, the audience here in Minsk told me also about that. The problem was also this kind of psychiatric hospital in the last 30, 40 years, they didn't open to the society. They always try to protect a lot the patients. But I think what we did in Portugal is to try to say to the hospital administrators to open the doors of this kind of facility, because there are good things inside that kind of hospital. I saw a lot of good people, and it's important not to be afraid of kind of situations.